All right, this is my Surprise Stripes Dumpling Bag using the Mustache Yarn colorway Candy Corn. I have finished knitting the body, and now I have divided my bag in half. I have knit my stitches over to the halfway point, and I'm going to now be at the point where it says double the stitches, and I'm going to just keep knitting right here on half of my stitches, and then I'll go back and put that on a separate needle so it's out of the way. I really think that it's much easier to knit this if you're using two different colors for your casing for the first time you do it, if you have not double knit before. So I'm going to be using a big stripe of my orange, which is my thickest stripe, and then I'm going to be using another color starting on my second ball of yarn, but I could just pull out until I get to a second color. So the first thing I'm going to do is knit one stitch. Then I'm going to put a long tail on my yellow yarn. I'm going to take out 3.5 times the amount of yarn needed and put on a bit of a long tail here. I'm just gonna twist that. I'm going to pick up my orange yarn from underneath my yellow yarn, and I'm going to knit one stitch with my orange. And then I'm going to cast on one stitch in the long tail method with my yellow. Knit one stitch with my orange, cast on one stitch with my yellow. Setting it up this way, my yarn, the outside of my bag color will be orange and the inside will be yellow, but you can do it the opposite way. You could do the outside yellow and the inside orange. Any color that you're choosing to use, we're gonna alternate all the way across the row. Knit one stitch in the orange, which actually traps the yellow yarn, which is how you make the doubling of the stitches work, because by picking up that orange yarn over the top of the yellow stitches there, it's trapping them. Then every time you pretty much have to set up your long tail cast on, unless you can keep your long tail cast on kind of like this and then re-grab and cast on one stitch, then you don't have to do too much, because you can re-grab your long tail to cast on one yellow. And then I'm just kind of dropping my thumb to hold here with my pinky finger, my ring finger over there, and then I'm just going to continue all the way across until I have doubled the number. And see how much easier it is to see if you start orange, yellow, or main color, contrast color. It's much easier to see that you don't make a mistake. I could do them both in orange, but for the first time, it's much more difficult to see if you have it done in one color. Okay, I'll be right back. Just a heads up, I forgot to do the decreases that happen right here. And so I will go back and do that. But since I have this all set up, my camera and my lights ready to go, I'm just gonna show you how to do the casings. Most of you will have already done those. Give yourself a little space at the top of the casings for the shoelaces or the I-cord that you're going to do. Just a silly mistake on my end. Now, we're going to either work this doubled casing in double knit, where we're going to do it all at once, or we're gonna separate each side onto one knitting needle. So I'm gonna show you both ways. I like doing the double knit version. It takes a little bit longer, but you get both sides done at the same time. Whereas the other way, you have to alternate putting this onto the needle, and then you're just knitting or purling across for 7 rows on each side. Probably both of them come out to be about the same amount of time. I just think double knit's a little bit quicker for me, but if it's the first time you've done it, it might not feel that way. So first thing we're going to do is purl this orange stitch, because we want that orange stitch to be knit on the outside of the casing of the bag, and now I'm looking at the reverse side. So the first side is purl, and then we're going to take both yarns to the back, and we're going to just take one strand, because you're gonna have a tail here. Here's my tail, and I'm gonna move that out of the way. So I'll only be using those two, and now I'm going to knit with that yellow. I'm going to bring both the yarns to the front, and I'm going to purl the orange. Both yarns in the front, purl the orange. Now both yarns to the back, knit the yellow. That would be double knitting and using both yarns at the same time. Bring them both to the front and purl the orange, both to the back, and knit the yellow. When you get to the other end, you'll do the opposite. You'll be flipping it around. This is making a casing, the yellow on one side and the orange on the other. I'm gonna start by dividing these now onto oranges on one needle and yellows on the other. So I'll slip the orange off onto my back needle and the yellow off onto my front, and then the orange off onto my back needle and then the yellow off onto my front. And I'm just gonna alternate that all the way across. This is a little putsy, but it isn't difficult. Okay, so now that you can see, let me tighten that one up. You have orange on one needle and yellow on the other. Then you're going to work your 7 rows of stockinette on the orange side and 7 rows on the yellow side. And then 3 needle bind off when you get to the top, and then do the same thing on the opposite side of your bag. I'll just make sure that you're using the smaller needle that you used on the base of the bag on the casings, because you want those to be the support for the drawstrings on the bag.